Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. Keep up with it all at tarpley.net. Now, a couple of other aspects of the reactionary assault going on right now. In the various states, right, we've got Christie, the Goering of New Jersey. We've got Kasich, now the Himmler of Ohio, I guess. We've got Scott, the Ernst Röhm of Florida, all attacking their unions, plus Jerry Brown and Cuomo attacking the unions in those states. Is there a common denominator? Well, it is the commitment of these reactionary think tanks. Let's take the so-called ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council. American Legislative Exchange Council is a kind of think tank and center of active subversion and sabotage of U.S. society. Funded, it is believed, by reactionary billionaires of the type of the Koch brothers and their ilk. And they are trying to orchestrate a general attack on unions. They want a low-wage economy, a deregulated economy, an anti-union, union-busting, scab-based economy. And look at that guy Scott wanting to use unemployed workers as scabs, strike breakers, replacement workers, as they like to call them. It's precisely this stuff about, do you call it genocide or not, right? All the left libs are complaining, how come we don't have any good zingers? How come we don't have things like job killing or death panels or things like this? You can have them. You can have them. You can listen to this program and you can have them. But then you got to have the guts to call things by their real names. Another person involved in this is always interesting. Calamity Schlaze over at the Council on Foreign Relations. Now, I always want to highlight her because many people who have gone astray into the swamps and the dark wood of libertarianism and Austrianism have at some point along the way learned from writers like myself, I hope, if not from others, that the Council on Foreign Relations is very bad. The Council on Foreign Relations, remember, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, Skull and Bones, and things like this, these are very bad things, and this has been known back into the 70s and the 80s even. Well, Calamity Schlaze works for the Council on Foreign Relations. She is, among other things, the resident Franklin D. Roosevelt hater at the CFR. She writes these slanderous books about Roosevelt and the New Deal, right? Live jackass kicking dead lion, I guess. And she's also the lover of Calvin Coolidge, right? She wants to try to rehabilitate this absolutely catastrophic presidency. The guy who set the stage for the crash of 1929, and yeah, he did, because he was the president, and he could have done something about it. Even Herbert Hoover was trying to tell him not to go so far down that road, but he did it anyway. Calamity Schlaze is now touting the fact that jobs are fleeing to the low-wage, union-busting, low-wage southern states of the United States under the cover of the Taft-Hartley Act. And we have Governor Bob Riley of Alabama. He says, we cut our Alabama state budget 25%. 25%. And you should too. Well, that makes him better than Brüning in that department, right? Heinrich Brüning got to about 20 to 25% in terms of cutting the German national budget. And of course, Brüning, 6 or 7 months after Brüning had finished that wonderful operation, Hitler seized power. He had successfully destroyed the economy and governing system of Germany back in those days. So this is a reactionary assault across the board. There is no comfort to be drawn from the Democrats. It's got to be the creation of some kind of a third force. Hard as that may seem, in this condition of lability and masses of people in motion desperately looking for solutions, it might become possible. But the precondition is you've got to end that Obama magic, right? The Obama cultism, the inability to see Obama for what he is the thing that is crippling any kind of resistance against these reactionary hordes, right? It's Attila the Hun and Genghis Khan are taking over the Congress, and Obama wants to meet them in the middle And he's willing to give away just about anything. And this is absolutely disastrous. As we've been telling you now for 3 whole years, it was 3 years ago today that I issued my first leaflet warning Obama, don't listen to the mellifluous words of utopian messianic rhetoric coming out of the mouth of the Messiah. Look at his reactionary warmonger advisors. And indeed, we've got endless war. We've got more troops going to Afghanistan this morning, 1,400 Marines being sent into the meat grinder. And everybody's saying the recent Taliban activities show that all the so-called gains touted by the Pentagon are extremely fragile. They're practically non-existent. So you heard it first here. So if I told you that Obama was a disaster 3 years ago today, January 7th, it was the Monday before the New Hampshire primary, the Monday between the Iowa caucus and the New Hampshire primary. If I told you then, and I was right then, and all the left libs were wrong, to put it mildly, why don't you listen and take seriously what I'm telling you now? The next 2 years will represent a hecatomb of every progressive cause, every remnant of the New Deal, and so forth. And the only way to change this is to dump Obama. We need a challenger to Obama in the New Hampshire primary, hitting the ground yesterday. That's what we need. So let's look now. We don't want to be sectarian. There are some things going on. Let's look at the question of the Federal Reserve. Now, we have grave reservations about Congressman Kucinich because of his track record, but let's not make Congressman Kucinich the issue here today. Let's look at a bill of which he is one of the sponsors, and I'm confident that others will be there. Remember, there were quite a few votes. There were 19 Democrats not voting for Pelosi, voting against her, but there was also Congressman DeFazio, who didn't vote at all. That was his elegant solution to the problem. What do you do about Pelosi? Well, you make sure you're not there, so that's fine. Pelosi, obviously dubious, right? She was supposed to be preparing a rebellion against Obama, according to Ulsterman. Maybe Ulsterman was simply a big fraud. I don't know. Ulsterman, where are you? But let's look now at the attempt, the National Emergency Employment Defense Act, the nationalization of the Federal Reserve. This is a bill which has been in the House since December 17th, 2010, about, less than a month now. We'll be back in a minute.